Maharaja Jai Singh of Alwar State became the ruler but had no sympathy for the aspirations of the people. He remained at the distant height of a highness. He began to indulge in luxury as other princes did and began to build huge palaces on which he spent millions of rupees and roads which led to his private palaces, the construction of which also cost very heavily. The Maharaja was averse to women and as a matter of fact he never had any sexual desire or relationship with a woman throughout his life. He, on the contrary, liked the company of men though he had many Maharanis and was married 4 times. He chose his ministers and his officials with great care and selection criteria also included the physical attractiveness of the officer. He had renowned ministers and officials in his state including Revenue Minister, Ghazanfar Ali Khan. The Maharaja, though a women-hater, had orgies at night which the Maharanis and concubines also attended and some of his favorite ministers and staff officers were also admitted. And the men who were invited to these parties had the unchecked privilege of becoming intimate with any of the women there, if an opportunity arose. The Maharaja was always present at these orgies and he did not object to his officials taking full liberties with the Maharanis and other women of the palace. The Maharaja used to invite the wives and daughters of the ministers and officials. The object of this was to save the honor and reputation of the women in the palace so that everybody was in the same boat. The wives and daughters of the ministers and the officials also met the same fate as that of the Maharanis and the Ranis. Khan was permitted to have free and intimate relations with the women of the palace and the wives and daughters of the ministers and officials of the state. The family of Khan was living in Lahore, thus was not able to participate in these functions. Several years passed and Khan became more and more popular with the women of the palace and the Maharaja. The Hindu officials convened a meeting and discussed the matter with regard to Khan's entry into the palace while his family stayed outside the state. They talked to the Maharaja that Khan having such a relationship with our women, while he himself keeps his women away from the palace. When the Khan came back from his official tour the Maharaja told him he should bring his wife next time when there was a festival at the palace. Khan wanted to make some excuses, but knowing the temperament of the Maharaja that he would send him to prison if he went against the wishes of the Maharaja, told him that he would certainly bring his Begum to the palace at the next festival of Diwali which was coming after a month. Khan requested the Maharaja to give him a month to bring his Begum from Lahore to attend Diwali festival. Khan left the capital and on his way he stopped at Delhi and consulted some of his friends. He talked to them of his miserable plight. His friends told him that the matter was very simple, that he should choose a beautiful dancing girl in the town for this purpose. He and his friends selected one intelligent woman who was well-built and had a handsome and pretty face. Khan put the selected bride in a private house in New Delhi and for a week or 10 days she was trained fully to play her role. While Khan was away to Lahore to see his Begum, his friends further gave the temporary wife of Khan more lessons in practical sex psychology in which she was not lacking already. Khan sent a telegram from Lahore to the Maharaja saying that he was coming with his Begum. The Maharaja sent a telegram in reply stating that a state reception would be given to him and his Begum. The Maharaja met Khan and his Begum at the railway station along with all the ministers and officials, and a guard of honor was presented to Khan. The Begum was taken to the house of Khan. Khan repeatedly gave lessons to the Begum and told her to be absolutely careful in the way she should act. The Maharaja and his Hindu ministers and officials were rejoicing to have their sexual desires fulfilled with the Begum in retaliation to what Khan did to their women folk. On the night of festival, Begum Khan was taken by the lady companions of the Maharanis to the interior of the palace, and Khan joined the ministers and officials, specially invited to these functions. Sumptuous food and intoxicating drinks were served to women and men. When they got intoxicated with alcoholic drinks and were thoroughly happy and gay, they were brought into contact with each other. The orgies at that time would too start in full swing. The Begum was fully trained by Khan and, as a matter of fact, her profession was such that no training was necessary to carry out faithfully the commands of her husband. She gave such glorious time to one man after another that all of them before the day broke became enamored of her. Khan was having a good time and also watching what was happening to his Begum, and was smiling in his heart of hearts at the wonderful device which his friends in Delhi had found to save him. Next morning, the Maharaja was so much pleased with the courtesy shown by Khan that a sum of 500,000 rupees was sent as a present to the Begum. At the request of Khan, the Begum was allowed to go to Calcutta and Bombay for making the necessary purchases for the future festivals. On arrival at Calcutta, he informed the Maharaja by a telegram that his wife had an attack of appendicitis and that she would not be able to return to the capital for some time. Another telegram was sent after some days saying that the operation was not successful and that the Begum died. The Maharaja sent letters and telegrams of condolence to Khan. The Maharaja and his courtiers were in great grief at her death. They remembered the voluptuous time which she gave them at the festival when she offered to them the precious gift of her body and vivacious self.